Hello and welcome to Bat Flips and Nerds, the baseball podcast with a British twist. I am your host this evening, Ben Carter, and I'm joined on a very hot evening by two other baseball luminaries. First of all, Rob Navera, how are you?
Good. You may notice, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I have a different background today. It is because I am with cats, and new cats have taken over my normal podcasting zone. So I am standing in my spare bedroom, trying to work all this out. But otherwise, good. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on a pod. It's good to see you both.
Has been a while. Go on, then give us your cats' names, because you were just telling us that they are baseball related, even if Becky disagrees.
So they're called Chicago and Tampa, and they are ladies. Initially, I was going to go for I wanted Carl Clawford and Tyler Glasmeow, but Becky said absolutely not. That's ridiculous. So she suggested, what about places we've been? So I said Francisco and Diego, like really cool cat names. But unfortunately, they turned out to be ladies. Not unfortunately. Fortunately, they're wonderful cats. They turned out to be ladies. So I went with, I said, what about Hilda and Ethel? Because I quite like old lady names for cats. And then she went back to, what about the places we've been? Because she hated Hilda and Ethel. So we settled on Tampa and Chicago. What Becky doesn't know is that Tampa's middle name is Longo, but secret squirrel.
I love it. Well, I'm sure we're going to come back to a lot more cat chat in future. It's a good job John's not here. It would be an entire podcast dedicated to cat chat, I fear. But joining the two of us is Russell Easom, who I think is maybe a little bit boozed up after the pub from after work drinks. How are you doing, Russ?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to spit fire on what we've missed talking on. It's been a while, and it's been a few beers. So I've got some opinions.
And he's gone.
Takes were too hot for the internet to handle.
And so am I.
Well, a great start to the pod. Can you tell we're rusty? We lost Russ for a minute there, but we think, have him back now. And yeah, we've got lots of baseball to chat through. Some pretty exciting news that dropped. I'm trying to remember when it was now. Was it Sunday night or Monday night? Of course, the Rafael Devers trade, which I think we're going to get into first and talk about a little bit, and then cover off a few topics at the end, including Rob's trip that we're going to hear about, and any other baseball-related stuff that you guys want to talk through. But yeah, let's start with the topic du jour. The Rafael Devers trade to San Francisco from Boston. Bombshell. I think he'd been a topic on almost every podcast we've done this season for one reason or another, through his clear sort of fallout with the Red Sox front office that was manifesting itself in various ways in public. But I don't think anyone really saw this coming out of the blue, him being sent to San Francisco for a small cadre of prospects, 4 players coming back the other way, including Kyle Harrison, left-handed pitcher who was at one time a top prospect, and Jordan Hicks, who people will know as the guy who throws the ball very, very fast but doesn't really know where it's going. So obviously, I guess first question, who won the trade? Do you guys have a strong view on whether the Giants have fleeced the Red Sox have fleeced the Giants? Russ, I'll come to you first. Is there a winner, or am I stupid for asking that question? Obviously, yes. I guess it's been a week since the trade.
No, there's only one winner. It's the San Francisco Giants. Basically, the Red Sox have bungled this beyond belief. This sort of trade never happens. Like, it's simplistic. Like, this is as probably one of the single biggest failures that a front office has done in maybe the last 20 years of baseball. But the funniest thing is that the other biggest bungle probably that's happened in American baseball was Mookie Betts being traded to the Dodgers. Like, this Red Sox ownership, maybe there have been different people in charge, but Sam Kennedy and John Henry have basically shown that they're incapable of paying a franchise player to stay at their team. Maybe Devers was not the right person that they should have given that franchise deal to. Maybe it should have been Bogaerts. Maybe it should have been Betts. That's some other parts to do this, but this is a fundamental failure within the Red Sox system that has allowed a player like Rafael Devers to become available. Everybody who is a San Francisco Giants fan is jumping with joy with this. You do not get players that are going to get 4 to 5 WAR become available in trades for multiple seasons. Like, it's not a Luka Doncic deal to compare it with some other sports, but it is utterly unheard of in baseball for this sort of thing to occur. And there is nothing but failure on the Red Sox side. Yes, there are potential talking points to what Devers should have done or should not done, but John and I had conversations with Kyle Bodie, we had conversations with like Tyler Gillen, we had conversations with others around kind of like how like the Red Sox should work, how eat how kind of building a culture works, and that so obviously has failed at the Red Sox that they had to do this deal, and then they had to have that press conference where Carl Breslow and Sam Kennedy were trying to make it sound like this was a good thing. There's no way that this is a good thing. So I don't know if either of you saw that press conference from the two of them, but it was so bad that I can now understand why Rafael Devers has had issues communicating with these individuals up to this point, because seemingly neither of them really know how to talk to human beings.
Yeah, I mean, the timing, I think, was also bizarre in that the Red Sox had just swept the Yankees. Devers had just hit a very important home run in helping them achieve that sweep. Vibes were, maybe for the first time all season, high in Boston. Prospects had just been called up. Things seemed to be on the up for them. And then this happens, and we very rarely see superstars get traded full stop, but very, very rarely see them get traded mid-season, Rob. Were you as shocked as everyone else when this news happened? What was your instant reaction to it? And now the dust has settled a little bit, what are your thoughts?
A shock, yes, absolutely. Now, I would say there was always going to be something that was going to happen here. Clearly, people weren't happy. There had to be a resolution. I think we all probably thought what would eventually happen is Devers is going to begrudgingly play first base for the Red Sox. I don't think anybody had on their bingo card Devers happily playing first base for the Giants instead. I mean, with the Giants, there's an element of we'll take him. You know, like they've been desperate for a big player for a while. So, you know, if you actually think about it, where else would he have landed? No, this is spot on. This is exactly where he probably should have gone. But yes, it's a failure. It's a failure in one sense in that this team should have Rafi Devers for years because he's a fantastic hitter. I think the computer has clearly spit out numbers here, which is saying we don't want to pay $250 million to a DH who may not be any good in 5 of his 9 years remaining. It's a spreadsheet deal. You can see it. It's gone spreadsheet. What they haven't factored in, of course, is the Rafi Devers of it all. The guy is. The guy is a special hitter, you know. He doesn't conform to the numbers, you know. He's a bit better than that. So, yeah, it's shocking. It is shocking, absolutely. However, this car crash of a communications saga with the Boston Red Sox was always going to end in tears for either Rafi Devers or for Craig Breslow or both, you know. And a little part of me is saying, is this Craig Breslow balls up, or is this a Craig Breslow playing a master plan that he was told to play by John Henry, piss him off, make him go? You know, I don't doubt he had no trade clauses in his deal. So has he been told to piss him off enough that he needs to go? Was this Craig Breslow's balls up, or was this? I'm going full on conspiracy theorist here, but was this the plan all along? I don't know. Nobody saw it coming, though. But there had to be an out here, and essentially both of these guys weren't going to be with the Red Sox for long. Breslow may still not be with the Red Sox for long, but it had to finish.
I think he didn't have a no-trade clause, weirdly, because almost all of those contracts do, but I think Devers didn't
Really?
for whatever reason, so he could have gone anywhere in theory. But yeah, the Giants made the most sense for a lot of reasons. They've been trying to acquire a superstar hitter for several years of free agency without really managing to get there, hadn't they? So for them, obviously a huge move. And the knife in the back for the Red Sox, I guess, Russ, is that in his very first press conference, Devers comes out and said he's happy to play first base, starts taking grounders there pre-game before his first game. Clearly, exactly that, you know, was upset with the Red Sox, not necessarily with the request, but the way they went about it. And what I find slightly puzzling is, like, for like a spreadsheet guy, maybe as you called them, Rob, I'd understand it, where someone who wouldn't have that empathy for being a player. Craig Breslow was a player. Like, he understands what it's like to be in a clubhouse. He understands what it's like to be a guy who's involved in these deals and to understand the importance of communication. How has this happened with him? Like you say, Russ, he just seems robotic in the way that he communicates, and I can't quite understand how you would have that view as a former player. But yeah, it doesn't look great for them right now, especially with the whole Devers now seemingly open to playing first base.
I think what you get at is the fact that players are very different. Like, Breslow was a Yale graduate before kind of coming into baseball. That is a very different way of operating mentally and as an individual to get to there before even kind of coming into baseball. He has brought in consultancy firms which have taken this team from having virtually even number of scouts and analysts to having 4x the amount of analysts than they have scouts. Now, I'm going to tell you that analytics is a good way to run baseball, but you have to have the qualitative side to what's going on. There are things that you cannot quantify to work out how things are going on. And for baseball deals, like, the annoying thing that I've seen a lot of people report is that, like, oh yeah, the back end of this contract doesn't look good. The back end of every major contract doesn't look good because you're paying for this player to be good now, and you deal with the consequences of them being bad later. Also, there's certain things that you don't understand, or a lot of them seem to not understand, that's called inflation. And the fact that basically this contract will not look that bad in 5 or 10 years' time, because guess what? We'll be on a 1 or 2 further CBAs, and so basically how much you can pay somebody, or the salary cap, is going to be much larger than it is right now. And just over the last 5-10 years of baseball, think how those contracts have gone. But Bryce Harper was getting like $300 million. Juan Soto got $700 million. Like, this Devers contract is not going to look bad come the end of the season. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how this works. That really annoys me with how a lot of people have like reporting on this. Yes, I think that Breslow has shown that either him or Sam Kennedy have just decided that basically this wasn't the right way to do this. And after Devers had that first round of miscommunication about, hey, you're not going to play third base, even though that's basically what Chaim Bloom and the other people that made that decision, which, like, Sam would have been one of those people. So we can say that, like, oh yeah, like the president of baseball operations have changed, but the person above him and the people below him haven't changed. So those promises should have stayed the same. Like, it's just because you have like a different person in who's making those decisions. A lot of that should have stayed the same. Bad communication, one. Then, effectively, they put him to DH. He becomes amazing. They're then like, hey, mate, do you want to go to first base? And it's like, well, actually, you just told me I didn't need to defend. So, I don't know. Like, there is a part of me that is telling me, like, yeah, you should have maybe gone like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take one for the team here. But maybe that's not who Rafael Devers is. Like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I see, like, people like Big Pappy coming out and being like, oh yeah, like, I've measured Devers a lot of times and he didn't respond to me and we didn't sort it out. I'm like, dude, you don't play for the Red Sox anymore. You're a freaking media person. You may have been like the face of that franchise anymore, but literally, if I was a player, you can sod off. Like, your opinion matters nothing to what's going on right now. Like, you're just coming out here now with basically a pro-Boston view on what's going on because that's what you're there to be. Like, you are a pro-Boston guy. You will be a pro-Boston guy for your entire media career. That's just what it is. Like, there's so much that we do not know what's going on. Like, to me, reading the reports from, like, June Lee over the last couple of days that he's put out on Yahoo Sports about just the way that the Red Sox organization works, it sounds like an absolute nightmare to be in. I cannot fathom, like, parts of what is being talked to us about, like, how that organization runs from an analytical perspective as an analytical person. It would drive me nuts. And so if it's driving a person who's not analytical nuts, then yeah, like, it's just not a good place. It wasn't the best place for Devers. And Devers is basically just, once he's been given the chance to go somewhere else where he's appreciated, and he's gone to the Pobosi that himself, and so we get the chance to go to an organization which has gone from, hey, we need to be really analytical, to, like, we need to maybe get some feelings into it, and obviously having Buster Posey in charge, he's gone, yeah, you know what? We want a player like this. The only chance we have to get a player like this is this trade, or spending, what, $500 million on Kyle Tucker next year? There's no player like this that's available. So they did the best thing that was possible for this team. Got rid of guys that, are going to be maybe back-end starters and relievers, and our prospect that we'll all forget about, the next Jeter Downs, as we say. Like, it just makes, like, no sense from the Reds' perspective, apart from, we need to dump the salary, we need to restart, we don't want this guy around our young players, and that really, to me, says that they did not want Rafael Devers to have any impact on their young prospects that were coming through.
Well, I personally didn't have Russell tells Big Pappy to sod off on my bingo card for tonight, but congrats to all the listeners that did. I just wish you'd get off the fence and choose a side here, Ross. But no, I think you're I think you're dead right, and I did enjoy the theory, I think tongue-in-cheek, going around social media that Fenway Sports Group was shipping the money off the books to help fund Florian Wirtz joining Liverpool imminently, which is just a great crossover of UK and US sporting culture. I guess the final point on this, that again, another knife in the back for the Red Sox. Guess where they're playing this weekend? San Francisco. So fans will very quickly get a chance to see Devers in action in the Giants jersey, which should be good fun. And him in the Giants jersey looked a bit weird. So I did task the guys with maybe coming up with a few other players who looked odd wearing new laundry with different teams, different coloured pajamas. Rob, I think you've got a few that you were going to sort of start off with. Which guys on new teams did you find most offensive to the eye?
I didn't realise you said players. I didn't just have players.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, take it in a different direction.
No, I had others, but I'll come back to them. Okay, all right. So I got one for Russell to start with. I had Josh Naylor playing in Arizona colours. Just looks weird to me. Like he's got quite a distinctive face. Like and it was to someone who's not watching the Indians, the Guardians every day. He kind of was the face of that franchise for the last few years to me. And so yeah, Josh Naylor playing for the D-backs is a weird look. Did you get that, Josh? Josh isn't here. Russell.
No, definitely. I can get that from some of those things. I think from like from a Cleveland perspective, like you'd be like, he's one of those guys that's come through your system, and you're kind of like, yeah, he's going to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
And then when you go see them play with somebody else, it does look a bit off. I think personally, as someone who quite likes those D-back City Connect uniforms, it doubly hurts because I'm just like, man, he looks good wearing some of those like City Connects, whereas like our City Connect was pretty freaking boring.
Who else has got one? I've got several, but someone else pick one.
I've got a few. We were sort of throwing a few out in the group, weren't we? I think Darius suggested suggested Brandon Crawford when he joined the Cardinals from the Giants, having spent obviously a long time in San Francisco. That definitely looked weird. I think you maybe then threw out Brandon Belt, who I agree, another guy who left the Giants and didn't look right in his new team with the Blue Jays. Yeah. That was odd. Andrew McCutchen on the Yankees, I'd like completely memory hold that. I think John came up with that one. That was weird. I always think the Yankees have got a whole section of their own. There are a bunch of players on the Yankees that I just don't think look right. Goldschmidt this year, I'm still getting used to. Anthony Rizzo never looked right. Ichiro on the Yankees was weird.
Josh
Donaldson on the Yankees was weird. Yeah. Garrett Cole.
How about Cody Bellinger? That is a weird slide. Like Dodgers, you're like, yeah, absolutely, he fit. Then he went to the Cubs, and you're like, this is a bit odd. Now he's hit the Yankees. You're like, no, this is not a Cody Bellinger team.
And there definitely was like a facial hair element to it as well before the new rule was instituted of just guys who you always knew as having a beard suddenly being beardless. That just never looked right. But go on, give us a few of your other ones, Rob.
Justin Turner. Now, it's a strange one, this one again, because like Dodgers, I mean, Orioles is that was kind of his origin, but like Dodgers is where we all know Justin Turner from. Somehow he looked okay with the Red Sox, with the Blue Jays, kind of okay with the Mariners, but for some reason as a Cub, I don't know if it's a color thing with the ginger beard, but like it's just not working for me. I cannot look at Justin Turner as a Cub. I cannot remember that Justin Turner is with the Cubs. If you had asked me before I started flicking through players looking for this, I would have told you he was still a Mariner. So yeah, I just can't take Justin Turner as a Cub. Reese Hoskins. Like it feels like he's a rental still on the Brewers. Like the guy is a Philly, so he shouldn't be there. I agree totally with John. He put in that group as well. Kenny Jansen, just weird as a Dodger. I thought about Kyle Hendricks, but somehow it just really fits, and I don't know why. But like,
it fits. It's the
there's
Angels.
something about that matchup. Like it shouldn't work, but it does.
I think.
I agree.
And then I had the last two. I've got Tommy Pham, but only because his profile photo with the Pirates, he's kind of smiling and looking friendly, which no, that's not right for me. And last of all, Billy the Marlin. So Billy the Marlin came of a time whereby they were in the orange, like the colourful Marlins one. Now they've got the kind of the almost cool, and it is a good standard jersey, the Marlins jersey. They got the kind of cool, edgy, kind of the Cuban vibes, with the colours and everything. And that's just not suiting Billy the Marlin. I think Billy the Marlin was supposed to be in like cartoony and orange colours, and his face does not fit the current jersey. So I really can't see Billy the Marlin as a current Marlin.
Yeah, and I agree with most of those ones. Hadn't quite thought about Billy the Marlin. For me, watching Felix Hernandez basically wear anything that wasn't a Mariners jersey as he was trying to kind of like continue his career, just
The Orioles.
yeah,
wasn't it?
Orioles and even Atlanta, I think for a while in spring training, it was just it was wrong. It didn't match up. I think I said it to when Ben was talking about the Yankees. I briefly said Josh Donaldson. It didn't work for me. Like I just see him kind of like wearing that blue that whole entire time. There's no one as a Cleveland fan and maybe as a questionable character, but Yasiel Puig probably wearing Cleveland gear to a lot of people seems like a completely wrong thing. He's an LA player like through and through. It would be the same way if like everybody, it's never going to happen, but there was always that talk about Kershaw, like, oh, going back maybe to like to the Rangers for a season. It would
The
just
Rangers,
be
yeah.
so wrong. And that's the same thing where even when you look with Verlander, he seemingly has gone everywhere that he wears orange, so it just about still looks okay to kind of like fit with the vibe. But there are so many guys. I think that if you guys have watched Charlie Morton wearing orange, I don't like it mainly because he's been pitching really bad. At the same time, whether like the color has really funked him up. But
He was famously in orange, though.
I know, but it just doesn't like you have these different ideas about like when we've all like started to watch baseball or where we got to these points where I remember this player being X. Like there are going to be times where it's going to be like, yeah, you know, like Pujols, like what player, where do you think that he plays or whatever, and you're just kind of like, well, actually, like. The more that I remember is the terrible end of the career because I didn't really start watching baseball while he was actually good. Even like the same with like Miguel Cabrera. It's like I remember them being bad players, not good players, because I missed that part of their career. So you just have an idea in your head of like this person fits this, and as soon as they go somewhere else, you're just like, no. Like to me, Corey Kluber wearing anything that wasn't a Cleveland jersey was an outrage when we traded him. Like Michael Brantley wearing an Astros jersey really annoyed me for quite a while before I got around to the fact that kind of like, yeah, I still like him because he's a good player, but it just felt wrong. He was the guy that I'd watched be a Cleveland guy for like 6 years and then go see him wear another jersey. Just, it felt ick.
Totally on trend with the young'uns.
I think it's definitely a category as well that like the guys who just were rentals for a few months that you kind of forget ever played for that team. Like I think Tom called out Cespedes for the Red Sox. That's one that, yeah, is weird to think about. I still sort of forget that Javi Baez played for the Mets for a few months. There are a few of those guys who just sort of popped up in uniform that 5 years later you look back like, I forgot that ever happened. Anyway, please do send in any of your own thoughts, dear listeners, if you have any on guys that looked weird in other uniforms. We'll be happy to hear them and call out some of the best ones on our next podcast. Should we go on to some of the other news going on around the league? Let's maybe start with, you know what, let's go to you, Rob, and let's hear about your adventures, and then we can get into some of the other news. I want to hear about your trip that actually probably wasn't that recent now, but we haven't spoken to you since.
No, it was like a month ago now, yeah.
I'm sure
I
you've
was
got
at the same time as Russell was there. And you've all heard Russell's stories many weeks ago. I was fortunate enough to board a plane in Heathrow and fly over to Los Angeles very briefly, and hopped on a 22-minute flight to San Diego, which Greta Thunberg would not have enjoyed. 22 minutes in the air. Like, I've never seen a distressed air stewardess launch bottles of water at someone down an aisle quite so quickly like that before. But yeah, 22 minutes in the air, and then I landed in San Diego, and my God, what a place. If you are looking to go to a city which is not of the team that you currently follow, I cannot rate San Diego high enough. Absolutely phenomenal city, beautiful city, fantastic nightlife, really good to look at. Like the touristy crap is top notch as well. You will not have a better time than if you go to San Diego. I really, really cannot tell you how good that place was. And the ballpark too is such a part of the city. It is really built in. The fan base is loyal. It's friendly. It's aggressively on the side of the Padres, yet it is still somehow friendly and welcoming. The colours are spread through the town, the city, really, really, really brilliantly. And the ballpark, it's just sort of nestled right in the middle of kind of the touristy bit and where it kind of connects onto the nightlifey bit. And what a ballpark. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place to watch baseball. It was super brilliant. I mean, partly brilliant because the Rays won all the games whilst I was there. That didn't hurt. They've got Gallagher Square behind the big screen in the outfield, which is just like you just walking around the stadium, then it suddenly opens up and you feel like you're back out in the street again, but you're still within the confines of the ballpark, and it's this huge area just for people to just kind of hang out and have a drink and have some fun. Absolutely beautiful city. I will say though, they put fireworks on at the end of the second game I was there. And you know, like you go if you've been to a Major League Baseball park where they put fireworks on, you normally sit in the stands and then you look somewhere well beyond center field. They have fireworks going off. No. They put the fireworks roughly on second base, and so never have I seen sort of 40,000 people cowering from the explosions happening seemingly feet from their face. It was shock and awe. Like, you know, you left knowing that you'd been at a fireworks display. There was no doubt about that. It was awe-inspiring, but my God, what a town. Absolutely fantastic place to watch baseball. Have either of you ever had the luck to go to San Diego at all?
I haven't.
Yeah, I was there last year actually. But I would co-sign everything you said. I would also say, compared to, because we did San Diego and Los Angeles last year, compared to LA especially, but I think a lot of American cities, San Diego is shockingly walkable. Like, you don't have to have a car to get around, which is refreshing because so many places, they look at you funny if you say you want to walk places. Whereas we found San Diego, you can basically get everywhere on foot if you're willing to put some steps in. So, and the food there was amazing. I mean, you're right on the Mexican border, amazing Mexican food. Like, we loved it as a city. And like you say, the ballpark's built in so well, amazing views, friendly people, sun's always shining. I really don't know why we left, but it was great. So cosign.
And then from the sublime to the ridiculous, we left San Diego, brief stopover in Atlanta. Didn't manage to get to a ball game there, but you know, Atlanta is Atlanta, fine, whatever. Then we went down to Tampa. I thought, you know, this is my chance to go and see Steinbrenner Field, and my God, what a pile of crap. Honestly,
you've been to spring training places before, Rob. Yeah, you've been to spring training.
I've been to spring training places before. Absolutely, I went to see the. Look, it's not the facility. The facility isn't the problem, and this is nobody's fault because the Rays were put in this situation with their dodgy roof that they're having to play these games here. However, when you go to spring training, it is early to mid-March. Now, I did not go late in the year. I went mid-May. And my God, the heat, it is insane. There is a very, very good reason they do not play baseball outdoors in Florida in the summer. It was insane. Like, the stadium is fine. The Rays have done a decent job of turning this small, very clearly a minor league ballpark into something that can look. There was no queues. Everyone managed to get in properly, despite it being sold out every night. All the concessions, there was no major queues for them. Like they've done a decent job. You know, they put buses on to get you in. You know, the car parking is very close. Can't fault any of that. But you just cannot play baseball outdoors in Florida in this heat. Like, I was sat there for the night game. Like, the night game was sufferable from about, you know, the fifth or sixth inning. Like, you could start to sort of, okay, like I'm starting to feel human again now. I went to a day game on a Thursday, and if you were to go back and look at it on TV and look at any of the Rays day games, bear in mind they have sold out like all but three of their games so far. There was nobody in the stands because even the locals by the middle of the second were like, I can't sit here anymore. It is ridiculous. So my advice would be, if you are going to Steinbrenner Field because you fancy going and seeing it because it's a novelty, it's a one-off, absolutely do it. But my God, go at the night game. It is insane during daytime. They are handing out free drinks, free water because it was too hot. They were handing out free sun cream. Like, they knew this was a problem, but there was sod all they could do about it. And there was no roof, there was no shade. You could not get 10,000 people in the shade in that stadium. It was insane. So, great, but my God, just go in a night game because you know, I am a ginger fellow. Don't get me wrong, I don't suffer the heat well, but this was otherworldly. Do not go in the daytime.
As someone who's unaware, I suppose, of the geographical challenges that the Rays face at their old stadium, it's interesting you mentioned they've sold out every game. Is it, location-wise, is it a massive upgrade on Tropicana Field? I mean, what Is that the kind of place you think they should be based full time if they were to, I don't know, have a roof or something to prevent the sun getting in?
Absolutely. Now, when you say they've sold out every game, I will caveat that. I went to the first game I went to was a game against Royals. Also, all of the games I went to in Florida, the Rays lost and lost badly, so that wasn't fun to start with. But it was a game against the Royals, and they had I guess they didn't know about it in advance. There was some kind of country music fair on the parking field where we're supposed to park our cars. So they decided us to park further down the road. It's all surrounded by the Raymond James Stadium, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' enormous cathedral of a stadium. And this is a tiny little ballpark on the side of it. So you park in the football ones, and the football stadium parking is all around this stadium, which is enormous. So they use the ones that are closest to the ballpark. Now, that one had this country music festival on, so we had to walk 20 minutes in blazing heat to get back to the cars afterwards. So as a result of that, they offered 4 free tickets and free parking to anyone who attended the game. And so I think the Rays are doing an awful lot of this to fill those stands out at the minute. And I think this may have something to do with the ownership situation. And look, it's fantastic here in Tampa. We sell all the tickets all of the time. So I think there's a little bit of that going on. But is it a better place to go? The area itself is sort of dusty scrubland. There isn't an awful lot around that specific area, but if you are traveling from the rest of Florida, you are chopping 45 minutes on a good day off of the trip, and with the bridges after you come out of a game at the Trop, it's probably closer to an hour and a half. Like it absolutely is the right place to put baseball in Tampa Bay. Actually in Tampa rather than St. Pete. St. Pete is a great place to go and visit and sit on a beach and have a pina colada and look over some beautiful vistas of the Gulf of Mexico. But it's probably not the place for a baseball stadium. So yes, absolutely, they should be putting that stadium into Tampa proper, and they will sell better. They will sell better, guaranteed.
I'll plead ignorance again then. Where are we with the stadium? Do you know anything about where they're planning to play next year? Is there a genuine chance they're going to be moving? Is the plan still to renovate Tropicana and fix the roof? Where are we with that?
Yeah. So next year, essentially, the St. Pete Council is obliged to fix the Trop, part of the deal. So originally the Rays were going to be out after 2027, but that was requiring that the stadium was available to play in every year of the deal. So now that they've not been able to play in 2025, that extends by a year on the end. So the council is fixing the roof of the Trop. They absolutely will be back next year. They are aiming to have it done by by opening day. I think you'll probably see the Rays playing somewhere else for the beginning of the season, but they will likely be back in the Trop at some point next year. The deal that they had on the table was done. That is gone. That is dead in the water. There's nothing anymore. You may have seen in reports over the last few days that a letter of agreement has been signed, or a letter of interest has been signed for selling the Rays. Stu Sternberg is finally looking to get out. I think an awful lot of this stadium deal dying and making a go of Tampa and filling that stadium up, I think an awful lot of that will be something that has been in the background for this potential deal going for quite a while now. So the new guys are looking to keep it in Florida. The deal is led by a guy from Jacksonville who's a property developer, but the rest of the people on the deal with the money, they are Tampa guys. So I would imagine the Tampa Bay Rays will stay in Florida. Where in Florida, I don't know. But it's the question of the short term is the difference now. So long term, yes, they're going to be around. Someone is going to get a stadium deal, be it Orlando, be it Jacksonville, be it Tampa, goodness knows. But what we do beyond the end of the 2028 season, that is a real question right now.
Do you, as a fan of the team, do you feel that like this sale is happening because he's been forced out by the MLB ownership group? Because to me, it's like there aren't many owners that basically had $1 billion of worth investment from like local areas to build the stadium, then effectively lost that deal or reneged on that deal, and is now in a position where I'm like, I feel that like this is like we're not quite Washington Nationals territory, where effectively MLB have just gone like, yeah, you know what, fuck off, like you are not fit to basically be in charge. Like you are going to make it worse with what you've done. Sell it, take your money, get somebody new in to sort this out because it's clear that you're not going to do it. It's something that personally I feel that we might see for John Fisher in a year or two when it's clear that he's not going to be able to get anything built in Las Vegas because guess what? Nothing has been signed off on any of that yet. But I feel that like this is actually more of a MLB being sell the team than him wanting to sell the team.
It could well be. There's a few things here. Number one, as a fan, you understand watching all of the stars of that team walk out the door has been horrible over the years. Likewise, since 2008 when he took over, the Rays are the third most successful team in major leagues. Only the Yankees and the Dodgers have won more games than them since 2008. So, look, has something gone right? Absolutely it has. So, be careful what we wish for. Like, a lot of success has come and it may not be the way we've always wanted to see it, but it's happened, there's something going on there. Now, when it comes to, is this a jump or push situation? A lot of people said that this deal suddenly dying in St. Pete just didn't make any sense. Like, why has he just killed this in I would imagine that there was an awful lot going on with rumors of sales long before we've heard about it. And I would say more than a couple of other people in this billionaires group saying, stop it, we don't like it, go and do something else, sell your team. I think it's much more likely that he got wind of some guys who are interested in buying his team, but not with... now, these were property developers as well, may I add, not with the noose of a new stadium, not on their property land around their neck. So I would be very surprised if the deal didn't come before the death of the Tampa deal, and the push out from MLB is likely to be very, very...
There we go then. Good little detour into the world of Tampa Bay Rays and politics, I suppose. Sounds faintly promising, though. Hopefully they can get somewhere with the sale and they can find a more permanent home going forward. But we'll see. Many false dawns in the last few years, haven't there been? We've managed to go a long way into this podcast without saying the name Shohei Ohtani. I feel like we have to cover him off, don't we?
He's good, isn't he?
He's good. Very good. And he's back to doing the two things he's good at, being hitting and now pitching. Got on the mound for the first time as a Dodger, first time in 18 months or so last week or start of this week. Pitched one inning, touched 100 miles an hour. Is effectively doing his rehab in the majors, right? Because they're never going to send him to the minors to rehab because they need his bat in the lineup every day. So it makes for a slightly strange situation where he's presumably going to just ramp up his pitches over the next 4 or 5 weeks. And it sounds like the plan is for him to just pitch once a week rather than, enter a 5-day rotation. But Russ, exciting to see him back. I think any time we get him doing both is really exciting, even if it's going to be, a slightly lower level than it was pre-Tommy John. Still good to see him out there and looking as sharp potentially as he did pre-surgery.
Yeah, it's like it's the fundamental reason why we call Shohei Ohtani a unicorn. Like, he should be mythical. No one should be able to do this. Everybody else who's played baseball in the last 20 years has been completely and utterly not capable of hitting at a good level and pitching at a good level. So seeing this is always awesome. I'm kind of a little bit waiting for him to kind of get 3 or 4 innings under his belt, get to the point where he's actually probably going to pitch 80, 100 pitches a game before I'm going to get truly excited. Like, hey, by now he's got a 9 ERA. That's not particularly good, but it's one inning of baseball. And if somebody were to come in and be like, oh, is this guy supposed to be like one of the best pitchers in the baseball? It's like, well, yeah, he's doing this thing that's different to everybody else because he actually does this. It's a little bit tiring sometimes to be like, oh, yeah, we have to think about Ohtani indifferently to everybody else. Like, by doing this one inning pitch, he's basically helped the Dodgers because he will be next season a two-way player and be allowed to do that sort of thing. You have to remember that MLB literally changed their rules multiple times to accommodate Ohtani. And so we want to see this be at his best. We want to see Ohtani pitching 100 miles an hour, striking guys out, hitting home runs in the same game. Personally, I kind of want to see Ohtani in the field, and this is also one way that kind of like that makes that like less likely to happen, because it's just like when he's actually a good pitcher and he's allowed to stay in as a DH in the games, then we're not really going to see that. But it's awesome to see. I think we're probably quite lucky that the Rafael Devers thing happened when it did, because otherwise literally all we would have talked about this week was like the 20-odd pitches that Ohtani threw, and no one else, nothing else would have been important. I've seen some conversations from a few of my friends who live out in Japan, and literally, if you want to find any other news about baseball or MLB, you have to sift through like 160 articles on Ohtani throwing like one inning of baseball. So we love him. He's amazing. Right now, it doesn't really mean anything. Like, they're literally warming him up to the point where he's probably not even going to be useful before the All-Star game. They're really basically looking to ramp him up towards the end of the season to the point that he's actually a good pitcher when it comes to the playoffs. Like, we know the Dodgers will make the playoffs. We know that there is potentially like 5 of 10 arms which they might use as starters when it comes to the playoffs. We hope that Ohtani is one of them. We also hope that like Sasaki and Snell and Glasnow are part of those as well. Of course, right now, as much as I know he's a great player, we've got Kershaw and his questionable politics being like the people who are out there like picking up the innings. And yeah, you know what? Like, you had your moment. I'd rather you'd be passed on and surpassed by the younger generation. Suppressed probably as well. But...
Suppressed.
He might have feared, Ohtani, that his job as a two-way player was being taken from him by Kike Hernandez. I feel like every time I look at social media, Hernandez is back on the mound, mostly giving up enormous dingers in games that the Dodgers we were
Well, he pitched once
losing.
where they had to actually bring in Banda after him. Like, I think in the first 2 or 3 times that he pitched when they were winning, he got the outs. And then I think the third time they actually had to then bring in a pitcher because he gave up like 5 runs in the inning. So, like, him wearing the helmet is absolutely hilarious. And seeing all of it is top-notch comedy as far as I'm concerned. And it is a bigger FU than beaning one of the various Padres or Dodgers as they've been doing like in their series against each other. Being able to put a positional player out when you're winning, that is the truest kind of like FU to any team that you can do.
He's certainly a great
Pitching
character.
stench.
Go on.
I'm looking them up. I can't find them.
Can't find them. I'm going to say on Ohtani, I guess my fear is that maybe we've seen the last of him as a full-time pitcher just because he's so valuable as a hitter to the Dodgers that they're never going to overexert him on the mound just because why would they when they've got, an 8-9 win player when he's healthy just hitting and they don't really need him to try and overextend himself just to be able to show that he can still do it. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we do still see seasons where, he can get up to 100, 150 innings pitched alongside his amazing hitting and do the kind of stuff that we did see for a couple of years with the Angels. But that would be my fear, is that the Dodgers think the sensible thing to do is actually start to ramp him down on the pitching side. But am I just being a pessimist, Rob?
Yeah, probably. I'll also add just quickly here, Kike Hernandez currently has the exact same ERA as Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, there you go.
Which, it's 9, so that's fun. No, you're not being a killjoy. It's the inevitable decline that we all know is eventually going to happen, We all knew that eventually Mike Trout would have to give up center field and shift over, and we didn't want to see it, but here it is, it's happening. Yes, Ohtani's not going to be peak Ohtani forever. I think the bloke looks like the picture of fitness and health. If you're going to put your money on someone doing it for a while, you'd certainly put it on him. However, it's not going to last forever. Of course it's not. We need to cherish every single moment of this whilst we got it. Eventually they're going to have to wind him down. Like, this guy is he's a better hitter than he's a pitcher. Like, he is a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong. He is a fantastic pitcher, but he is an absolutely exceptional hitter. There is going to come a point where it is going to be very, very obvious that the pitching is taking away from the hitting and they're going to have to stop. Now, I hope this is 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the future, but it will eventually come. Of course it will. And, you got to trust that a decent, clever team like the Dodgers are going to realize the value in his hitting, and eventually they're going to say, yep, enough's enough, we're going to have to do it now. And you know what? I am still going to love watching Shohei Ohtani hit because the dude's an Adonis. He's great to look at, first of all, but also the way he plays is brilliant. So yeah, absolutely, like, it's going to happen.
The thing is that there's more than just being a starting pitcher. Like, if it gets to the point where they're just like, yeah, you know what, like, we sacrifice too much for you being a starting pitcher, and you have to DH maybe a little bit less because you can't keep up with all of the wear and tear. Like, I definitely remember the last few times that like Ohtani was pitching and DHing. Like, when he was in like the 6th or 7th inning, he looked absolutely shattered going out there to hit again. But hey, like, does Ohtani become a leverage guy? Does Ohtani become the Dodgers closer? Like, these are all like wonderful things that we can think of at some point because hey, we know that he can throw 100 miles an hour. We know that he can throw some of the best stuff in baseball. If he can't do it over 6 or 7 innings, he could definitely do it over 1 or 2 or 3. So, like, there are plenty of other ways for the Dodgers to use Shohei Ohtani and use what he has compared to everybody else. And simplistically, probably from the analytical perspective, just being able to get 40 innings out of Ohtani and not have to send someone down and send someone back up like 15 times during the season puts the Dodgers in a much better perspective than probably losing his OPS for 4 or 5 or maybe 10 games a season. These are the things that like not clubhouses will think of, but this is something that the front offices are going to think of, that it just saves so much effort from actually being able to have that extra player who can pitch. So I think we'll see him pitch for quite a long time into this contract just because of how well it will help the Dodgers from so many other perspectives.
Absolutely. However, we also need, like, I certainly am guilty of sometimes forgetting that Shohei Ohtani had an entire career before he came and started playing in the majors, and the guy is about to turn 31 already, and God knows I'd love to be 31 again. But that is the age when things start hurting and don't stop hurting when you get up in the morning. So, again, his body is probably many, many years younger than the 31 I was. But it's not as far off in the distance as perhaps it would seem for some young starlet that we've seen 6 years of, and he's only still 28, So it's going to come up sooner than it's going to creep up on us, and all of a sudden we're going to be staring this in the eye thinking, God, he's only just got here, and we're already starting to talk about declines like we are right now.
God, why do we even bother following this sport, eh? Why do we bother doing anything? It's all meaningless. We're getting old.
Yeah, I get up in bed in the
What's
morning.
the Sam Miller quote?
And on that topic,
inevitable rise to rigor mortis or whatever.
Inevitable, yeah, absolutely. We're all
on
going to
it.
die, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Screw you, big puppy. Anyway, I didn't really have much else on my agenda for today. Is there anything else you guys want to call out? I do think it's fun that the two teams with the best records in baseball right now are the Detroit Tigers and Chicago Cubs. Don't think anyone would have seen that coming at the start of the season. I think said the Tigers were going to be rubbish, so hold my hands up on that one. Not the only bad take I had. But anything from you guys on what you've watched in the last month that you want to quickly call out before we call it a day?
I'm enjoying the Yankees 6-game losing streak, but that's probably just a petty me thing, really, more than anything else.
For me, I'm the constant back and forth between is the AL Central good or is the AL Central bad? We had the start of the season where I was like, yeah, none of these teams apart from Detroit are good, and then they all played well for a month, and now they've all played badly for a month. So it's like, are any of these teams actually good? Like, someone is going to sneak in a freaking 500 record in the AL, I think, and get into the wild card. Like, we've had the inevitability of the Houston Astros being like the best team in the AL West. Yankees are far and away the best team, although the 6-game losing streak really impacts it, and I don't think anybody's touching Detroit in the middle. But are you really picking anybody out of like Toronto and the Tampa and Boston and the Twins, the Royals, the Mariners? Like, there's a big load of ick there in the middle of the AL, which is just like, I kind of don't think any AL team is going to beat an NL team when it comes to a World Series right now.
Yeah, I see the Guardians are doing Guardians things. 37 and 35 with a negative 23 run differential.
Oh yeah,
Every
be
damn
like
year.
5-1 against the Reds or whatever. Get swept by the Mariners, and then currently win 2 games out of 2 against the Giants. So it's like, yeah, let's just lose to the bad teams. And obviously,
yeah, I will say
the
that
Rangers are probably a bit lower than they should be, and they've gone a little bit under the radar. But other than that, I mean, you just look at the run differentials, and they're sort of all kind of playing out as you'd expect. So it's all a bit meh in the AL. The NL is a lot more fun. Maybe we should watch more of that.
Yeah, the NL does look fun, doesn't it? Especially that wildcard race, I think is going to heat up nicely. Orioles, they are dead and buried, aren't they? I mean, the Rays really put the stake in them last night. Was it 8-0 they were winning, and then 12 unanswered the other way? I keep waiting for them
That was an awful lot of fun.
keep waiting for them to turn this round, and it's just not going to happen, is it?
Nope. Dead and buried, as you absolutely say.
Speaking of dead and buried, my Rockies 4-game win streak. Shout out! It's not over till it's over. It can still theoretically win 100
games. Wasn't there a
games.
quote from their manager about October's a long way off. I swear I saw that somewhere online today.
I think that was a fake quote, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I think I still love the quote from...
mathematically speaking.
I think it was part of the way through last month when everybody was joking that like Scotty Scheffler had won more wins over like 3 weeks than the Rockies did, and then they won like 3 games in a row, and they were like, more wins than Scotty Scheffler, baby. And it's just like, yeah, you know what? Like,
I did
own
love
it.
The social media team doing a victory lap for winning one series, but they had so much ammunition in the clip for every single series they'd lost for the last 3 months, so they just emptied the whole lot on the Marlins at once.
Dude, they like what? It's still averaging 30,000+ people to a game at Denver. I don't like.
Phenomenal.
It's basically seemingly just like the greatest hangout spot in Colorado because people just go and enjoy themselves. So like they've worked out they don't actually have to win baseball to put a product out there that people will come and watch. So yeah, you know what? People are just going to go enjoy.
Although you do get the sad thing where when the Yankees came to town, the crowd was like 90% Yankees fans, and every Yankee hit is getting cheered, and every Rocky strikeout is getting booed. Which in your home stadium, not a great look. But hey, bombs in seats is something, right?
Yeah. What? Have the Yankees gone to Steinbrenner Field yet, Rob?
I think yes, they did really early on. I think, and they lost, so that was fun. They've done a really good job of covering up all the Yankees there. The one thing that you can still see is the end of every row has a Yankees logo on the end of it. Other than that, they have covered up everything, down to the urinals. So, well done, marketing team.
You thought the urinals would be the one thing they wouldn't cover up, given
it's one thing to leave Yankee
to
logos on. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, let's wrap it up there. I said we didn't have much to talk about today, and I think we've ended up running close to an hour. So, as always, we found things to talk about along the way. Thank you both for joining me and talking through a little bit of baseball today. For listeners, do make sure you check out the website, batflipsandnerds.com. Lots of great content going up on there. Gavin and the team doing an excellent job keeping it updated. Do follow us on socials. X, Instagram, TikTok, obviously YouTube now. All of our pods are going on too. You can watch us blabber away rather than just listen. So make sure to do that, and we'll be back with you very shortly for a new episode. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.